All right. So we all know our smartphones have changed, well, pretty much everything, right? How we talk, how we shop, how we live. But what if the next massive shakeup is happening right where we work? That's what we're digging into today, how that little device you're probably holding right now is turning workplace training on its head.
So is the future of training right there in your pocket? It seems like a simple question, but the answer? It's completely changing the game for how companies teach their people new skills. We're talking about a move away from those, dusty old training binders and boring all-day seminars. The new way is way more instant, always available, and let's be honest, just works better. And look, this isn't some sci-fi future of work prediction. Nope, this is happening as we speak. Get this. A whopping 75% of US employees have already used their phones or tablets for work-related learning. Just let that sink in. Chances are, the person sitting next to you, your colleague, is already part of this revolution. So how did this mobile takeover happen so fast? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the explosive growth and what's really pushing this huge shift.
Okay, first things first, you gotta follow the money. By 2025, the global mobile learning market, it's set to hit $77 billion. That's not just a trend, that is a gigantic economic wave. It just goes to show how much companies are betting on training that you can access from literally anywhere. And all that money isn't just sitting there. It's being put to use. We're seeing huge adoption. Right now, something like 2/3 of all companies in the US are already on board with mobile learning. So yeah, this has definitely moved out of the Silicon Valley bubble and gone totally mainstream.
So who's really pushing this forward? Well, it's the people doing the work. You've got your digital natives, right? Gen Z. A staggering 94% of them prefer using their phones for learning. And millennials are right there with them. As these folks start to make up most of the workforce, companies, they don't really have a choice but to get with the program. Okay, so we know who's using it and why it's growing, but what's the real payoff here? What are the actual benefits? Because it's not just about keeping younger employees happy. This shift to mobile has some serious perks for everyone involved, including the company's bank account.
Think about the old way, right? Traditional training was so rigid. You had to be in a certain room at a certain time. Mobile learning just blows that up. It's the total opposite. It's there when you need it in these small, easy-to-digest pieces wherever you are. Learning isn't something that pulls you away from your job anymore. It's just part of the flow. And you know what? This flexibility really works. It turns out when learning is easy to access, people actually, do it. Shocking, I know. Mobile learning can boost completion rates by up to 45% over old school desktop courses. And it makes sense, right? You can knock out a quick lesson while you're waiting in line for coffee. You don't have to block off an entire hour on your calendar.
And the good news just keeps coming. All those little interactive bits, they actually help you remember stuff better. For the company, this is huge. They save a ton of money on flying people around or hiring instructors. But maybe the biggest win of all is that it builds a culture where learning isn't this big, annoying thing you have to do once a year. It just becomes a normal part of your day. All right, the benefits are pretty obvious, but how does all this work under the hood? Let's talk tech, some of the roadblocks you might hit, and a few stories of companies absolutely crushing it.
It really comes down to 4 key technologies that make this so effective. First, you've got microlearning. That's just breaking down big topics into tiny, manageable bites. Then there's gamification, adding things like points, badges, and leaderboards to make it fun, even competitive. Third is AI, which creates a personalized learning plan just for you. And then there's the really cool stuff, like augmented reality, which lets you do hands-on training just by pointing your phone at something.
But let's be real, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You can't just take a boring old PowerPoint and squish it onto a phone screen. There are some real challenges here. Like, how do you make content engaging on such a small display? How do you keep people from getting distracted by Instagram notifications? Not to mention the big questions around security, privacy, and, actually measuring if people are learning anything.
So who's actually nailing this? Well, take GitHub. They built a mobile app to help new hires get up to speed. The result? A 20% spike in how many people actually finish their training. It's simple, really. They met their new techie employees where they live, on their phones, and boom, instant results.
And this isn't just for software engineers. Look at a company like Starbucks. They started using fun game-like mobile training for new baristas. And get this, it cut their training time by a mind-blowing 40%. It just proves that for people on the front lines, these quick, fun lessons beat sitting in a long workshop any day of the week.
Okay, one more, and it's a big one.
Pfizer. Imagine trying to keep a global sales team on the same page. It's a huge challenge. They turned to mobile learning and saw a 50% jump in how much information their teams actually remembered. Think about it. A sales rep could quickly refresh their memory on key facts literally moments before walking into a big meeting. Now that is a game changer. So those stories show what's possible right now. But what's next? Where is all this going? Let's peek into the future and talk about why this is shifting from a nice-to-have to an absolute must-have for basically every company out there.
Yeah, what it really boils down to is this. We are past the point of no return. Industry experts are all saying the same thing. Having a mobile learning plan isn't optional anymore. It's not a cool perk. It's becoming table stakes, a basic necessity just to keep up.
So what does the road ahead look like? Well, right now we're in this phase where everyone is jumping on board. The next big step? Even smarter AI that custom builds a learning journey just for you. And then, down the line, get ready for things like AR and VR to become commonplace, making training feel less like training and more like a real-world experience.
And you might be asking, why is this so critical? Well, because the workplace is changing at lightning speed. AI and automation are changing jobs every single day, creating these massive gaps in what people know how to do. Mobile learning is, frankly, the best tool we've got to help people learn new skills quickly and on a massive scale, so no one gets left in the dust.
So let's just end on this thought. The tech is already here. It's in your pocket, and it's more powerful than ever. It's ready to go. The real question is, your phone is ready for this revolution. Is your workplace?